I feel like a lot more of them over there have a better understanding of that. And one thing I'm going to be diving into in the next couple of weeks is the term griot in West African culture for the last, I want to say, 500 or 600 years has it refers to somebody named. This is the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get off here. But griot is a storyteller. So back in West African culture in the Mali Empire, which was like I think the 13th century or the 12th century, like really really early, the griot was an important member of the community, and almost like he was counsel to the kings and the queens and the rulers of the communities out there. And so he would he would relay a lot of what was going on in the communities and in the towns. Sometimes he would just orate them, just say them. Sometimes he would make songs, but that tradition carried on throughout just black communities in general. I think we don't really recognize that person in the same way here in America. But if when slaves got brought over on slave ships to the islands, the griot was still over there in Trinidad and Tobago. Like the slaves weren't allowed to talk to each other when they were doing work and stuff like that. So they would sing songs, and the people who were singing the songs were the griots. And a lot of times they were singing songs about the slave masters treating them poorly, what the slaves were going through, and that's what calypso music stems from, which is what is now soca music. And so that role, like we don't identify it as like the rapper is the griot, but certain rappers I feel like are griots. Like when I hear Kendrick Lamar, like certain songs where he's talking about what our community is going through, it resonates in that same way for me. And like a lot of Burna Boy songs, he does that for them. And I think that we're starting to see more people step into that role in music and outside of music. And I think that's just an interesting topic to really like show people like this person is like a reference point in time. Like you listen to their music and you could tell what him and his people were going through. And so I think that's going to be something also very interesting coming out of a lot of music pretty soon. But something I'm gonna be diving into for sure.
That's like the bigger figure, or like the, I'm trying to think of the word, like the shining figure, like the one that's like, I don't even know how to, I had the thought in my head, I don't know, we can come back to it either way.
I would just yeah. I mean the at the time like when I was reading on it, it was like a griot. Like the stories they were telling was like in when it got to the islands, the person was looked at in such high stature, like they didn't have newspapers and a lot of them couldn't read. So so a lot of the stories that he was telling and a lot of the songs he was singing there, like newspapers, journalists, people who were in governments and stuff like that, they would refer to the griots' songs and orations as like news. Like that was their daily news sometimes. Like people around the islands would refer to the songs and sing the songs so you would know what else was going on the islands. And I feel like it's just like that person just captures culture, and like he's taking a snapshot. He's telling the story of what's going on. And I think that in and of itself, it's like certain stories need to be told in a certain way. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Which is why I think Burna Boy like why they have a different relationship with that title of person or with that role. It's like it's kind of been like whereas us, a lot of our history is lost. So we have to like we don't realize that a lot of the stuff that we brought with us was passed down. We just didn't give it a name, or we didn't give it like we didn't like attribute it anything. Yeah, we didn't attribute anything to it, but it's like certain things are just in us and we don't know why. But I think that's always been with us. It's just we don't point it out.